My husband and I got married in 1998. And like most couples, when we were dating, we talked about children and when we wanted to start having them and how many and just what our family would look like. We talked about it all the time. And ironically, we both shared, I remember when we were dating at our college campus, and I remember sitting at a picnic table and us talking about children, and one of us brought up adoption, and I don't know which one, but we both were on the same page with it. We both said, yeah, we both wanted to adopt. It just was burning in my heart to do that one day, and I knew that there were children all over that needed a mom and a dad, and I knew that one day I wanted to be a mom that brought home one of those children to love them and be their mom forever. So anyway, so we got married in 1998, and my husband was in the military at the time, so we had the joy of dealing with military doctors. And when we talked about, okay, when do we want them, we kind of just left it in God's hands. So fast forward a little bit, so around 2004, so about 7 years later, we thought, this isn't normal, something has got to be going on. So we went back to the doctor, and they ran some more tests on me, and they found a few abnormalities with me, but it was nothing crazy. It was nothing that they said that they could foresee creating issues with us getting pregnant. So in the end of 2004 and 2005, we decided to really pursue it like hardcore. We started going to infertility doctors. We did artificial insemination every month for a year, which included me doing a lot of different medications to help ovulation. We did shots at different areas of my body. That was not fun. Every day we did that type of stuff. And every month, several times I would go in and check to see if everything was going like it should. And every month we would go in and get inseminated, and we would just pray, God, please, please let this be the month. And it didn't happen. So obviously there was so many tears behind all of this, and so much pain, so much anger. I was furious. I was mad at every woman out there that was getting pregnant. And it really had to come down to me asking myself one question, and that was, did I really want to be pregnant, or did I really want to be a mom? And I thought about it, every now and then, and I thought, you know what, I really want to be a mom. I don't care how my child comes to me. I just know that I want to be a mom. I've always wanted to be a mom, and I wanted Ryan to be a father. I knew that he would be an amazing father, and I just wanted a child in our home, in our family. We wanted to experience that. And so we said, okay, we're going to start the adoption process. And so we did some research, online, and talked to a few different people, and we found our adoption agency pretty quickly, and they ironically were located near us in Northern California. So we were actually able to go and tour their facility and even meet a lot of the adoption specialists. And so in September of 2005, we contracted with them and started the paperwork, which was a lot. Put together a portfolio, which is basically a book about Ryan and I, and it included pictures, and it included all kinds of information about us. It had letters from family and friends kind of saying, why we would make a great mom and dad. And just days later, we got a call from our adoption agency, and they said, we feel really strongly about this woman that's called us, and she's having a little girl, and she's due the beginning of March. So we were, 5, 6, 7 weeks away, and so we had some time to prepare, we felt, and we talked to the birth mom the next day, and we felt good. We felt really good, and we gave the thumbs up to our adoption agency and said, we say yes to her. So she happened to be somewhat local So we actually were able to meet with her before she said yes to us. So a few days after that, we met with her and her aunt at a restaurant nearby. Not real close, but obviously it was driving distance. And so we had a good lunch with them, and awkward though, as can be expected. It was very awkward, but at the same time super exciting. So anyway, she said, yeah, she said, I choose you guys. And so she let the agency know, and pretty much all we did at this point was just wait. On February 10th, Ryan and I were getting ready to go on a little baby moon. We were going to go to San Francisco for a few nights just to get away. And I had our bags packed, and he had taken the car, I think, to go get a car wash. And as soon as he came back, the phone rang, and it was the birth mom, and she said, my water broke, I'm at the hospital. And I said, oh my gosh, are you kidding? I said, we were even already packed, ready to go, because we were going to go on a little baby moon, but sweet, we were packed and ready. So we went to the hospital, and this was in the morning, and it was a long day of laboring for her. But anyway, she had Micah that night at 7-something, and Micah was 5:13. She was a month early, but she was healthy. She was really healthy for being a month early, and at 5:13, it seemed like a pretty decent weight for being so early. So she was born, and that was surreal. That was I can't even really describe it. As well as it being kind of awkward, just because you don't know how this is going to go. This woman's pushing out a baby, and then the baby gets put in your arms, and we're ushered out of the room quickly, and because at that point the birth mom didn't care to see or hold the baby. And anyway, so it was really a lot of emotions that went through me in those moments. But as soon as Micah came out, we were like, oh my gosh, it was instant love. And I remember holding her and giving her her first tiny little bottle, and all of the family, like Ryan's got a huge family, so like all 30 something of them are in the window, and they're all looking at us, and everybody's bawling, and we're crying, and we're just holding Micah, and she was so little, but she was healthy, and we were in love. We were in love. And it didn't even matter that I hadn't gone through the whole birthing process and or the 9-10 months of pregnancy. It didn't even dawn on me that there were no thoughts of, gosh, I wish I had just birthed her. I could not have been any happier in that moment holding my daughter for the first time. And I just felt so blessed. We weren't thinking about anything as far as the adoption and how it would play out. We had a daughter, and we were so happy, so happy. And so we brought her home that night. We had some friends at the house waiting for us, and they had cleaned the house, and there were balloons and some snacks and stuff. And so anyway, so life went like it would with any newborn, late night feedings, and a lot of sleeping, a lot of napping. And Micah was a really, really good baby. She was an amazing baby. I didn't have anything to compare her to, obviously, at the time, but I swear she was the easiest baby. I kept telling people, I don't know why moms complain. Like, this girl is super easy. And of course, I forgot that I didn't have to go through the whole 10 months of, physically carrying this child and growing a human being and all that means. But anyway, so we just kind of, the next few weeks played out fine. We heard from the birth mom a few times, and there was one morning, Micah and I were in the car, and we were actually going to the office downtown to get her birth certificate. And this was day 27, I believe. And remember, we only have 30 days until it's like done. Nothing can happen. And we're at day 27. So Micah and I are on our way to get her birth certificate. And the phone rings and I answer it, and it's Ryan, my husband. And he's crying. And for those of you who know my husband, know that that is a very rare thing. That before this, I think I had seen him cry one time in our 7 years of marriage at that point. So he was crying and he said, I need you to come home right away. And I said, well, what? You know me, I'm like, I want to know everything that's going on right now. Like, don't wait till I get home to tell me. I said, what's going on? And he said, I just need you to come home right now. It's an emergency. And I thought, okay, I wasn't thinking anything with Micah. I was thinking, something's wrong with his mom or dad, or something with one of my family members. But what was going to happen hadn't even crossed my mind. So I pull up into our driveway and I see his mom and his dad's car there, and I walk in and everybody's quiet and they're sitting in the living room, and I go in and I'm like, what's going on? And I can't even remember exactly how Ryan said it, but he just came out and said, Kendra, and he's bawling. He said, the birth mom wants Micah back. And I was like, what? Like, no, no, that's not right. Like, can't she be talked out of it? She's, I'm sure, just having a bad day and missing her, and like, surely somebody can talk to her and say, this is a really bad idea. And I guess she had been being talked to most of the day and being counseled. But Ryan had got a call from our attorney and said she wants Micah back. She wants to try to mother her. This was her 6th or 7th child, and she had placed them all up for adoption, and she had gotten her tubes tied after Micah. So, this was her last chance to mother. And now we're hearing that she wants to try to mother her. So, of course, the word got out. The word spread to everybody so quick. Our church got word of it, and people started praying, from all over the country. I can't believe how fast it got out. A meeting place was picked, and we knew that our church knew about it, and everybody we knew at this point, I think it had been like an hour or two later, knew about it. And so we got her stuff ready. Our attorney also told us to send Micah with nothing, to put back on the onesie on her that the hospital put her in, to not send any diapers, don't send any formula, no bottles, no pacifier, no blankets, nothing, no favorite little soft piece of material that she needed, to give her back to the birth mom, just like we got her, with just a simple little onesie on. And of all things, that seemed to be one of the hardest, because I thought, what about if Kendra doesn't have the money to give her food tonight? Or what if she doesn't even have a blanket for her and she gets cold at night? And Micah loved to be swaddled. Like, she loved to be swaddled so tight. We used to call her like a little bean burrito. That's how tight Ryan would get this swaddle. And I thought, she's not gonna sleep without this swaddler. Like, birth mom is in trouble. But I was more concerned for Micah, because I knew that she was going to feel so uncomfortable not having any of her stuff with her. So we met at the meeting spot, which ironically was the parking lot of Walmart. We pulled in to Walmart that evening, and there were a lot of people there. There's a lot of our church family, our closest friends, and of course our family was there, and everyone was crying, and some people had already started praying. And so we pull in, and I just sat in the car with her, and I just was holding her, and I just kept saying, I love you, I love you. You'll always be my daughter. You'll always be my daughter. And just praying, God, please do something, like please don't let this happen. Like, this seems so unfair. You can't do this to me. Like, this is my daughter. So I held on to Micah. I just kept telling her I loved her, I loved her, I loved her. And Ryan came over and said, okay, you know, the birth mom had gotten there with a friend, and he said, we need to, you know, get this over with. And our attorney was there, and he said, you know, let's just get it done. And so we got out of the car, and the family and all of our friends gathered around Ryan and Micah and I, and they prayed over her. And we dedicated her to God right there in that parking lot. But we gave her to God right there, and we just said, God, you're her father ultimately, and you know what's best for her. And somebody even said, maybe she'll be the one that leads her birth mom to God. And I remember thinking about that, and I thought, okay, God, like, this is so unfair, and this is the worst possible thing I could imagine, but I know that she's not mine. She really belongs to you, and if that's your plan for her, then okay. So we prayed, and then Ryan and I walk over to the birth mom, and Ryan had his hand around me, and I was holding Micah, and gave her a kiss, and I just said, I love you, and then I placed her into the birth mom's arms, and I said, please let her know I love her. She turned around and walked away, got in her car, and drove off. It was probably better that she didn't say anything, because there's nothing she could have said in that moment that would have made this any easier. I just remember screaming, and as I fell down on the cement, I just yelled, that's my baby. It's my baby. And I just sat there and I just wept, and I just thought, I can't believe this just happened. You know, someone had said when we had first announced we were going to adopt, someone said, well, aren't you afraid that the birth mom's going to take the child away from you? And I said, that doesn't happen anymore. That's the Lifetime movies. That's the bad stories that you see. And then here it is happening to me. We went home that night, and I mean, obviously, we just sat there and cried. I remember I just laid down on the floor with her blanket, and I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I heard my husband, and he was crying, he was sobbing, and I walked into her room, and he was just standing there looking over the bed, and you could see all her little drill spots on her sheet. We just stood there and we just sobbed. I told Ryan, I was like, I gotta get away. I can't be in this house. I can't be near her room. Our attorney called us that morning, so the morning after we surrendered Micah. And the attorney called us, and Ryan had let him know our intentions of just getting out of California and going somewhere. And the attorney told Ryan, he said, I wouldn't go anywhere just yet. You know, he said, something's going on. He said the birth mom had been in contact with her attorney and some of the adoption specialists and a counselor from the adoption agency. And I guess it had a pretty rough night with Micah, and was saying that she didn't want her. That she couldn't do this, that Micah hadn't slept and she hadn't eaten and she wouldn't stop crying. And that she said she was a holy terror, and that she didn't love her, that she loved, Ryan and Jada. She needed to be back with us. And so, but Ryan didn't tell me that at that point. So I had no idea. And Ryan had also been told by his boss, who is an amazing man of God. God had spoken to him and told him that Micah would return to us. I think God had told him within 3 days. So Ryan had this information, and I didn't. So the day went on, and I'm thinking, we're getting out of here, and I'm mad, screw this, and I'm emailing my family, and of course everyone was just devastated, and wanted to know what they could do to help it. And I was looking through emails at some point that day, and I'm getting emails from everybody, and people I don't know, and people that I do know are forwarding me emails that they got from people that they know, from people they know. I mean, emails were coming in from all over the place, and people were just saying, we're praying for a miracle. We're praying that she'll be a holy terror. We're praying that she'll not sleep, that she'll give the birth mom so much trouble. And we didn't ask that any of this be prayed. We had sent out an email initially, and we just said, this is what's happened. We're devastated. We just want God's will. We didn't ask people to pray specifically that she would be a holy terror, which come to find out she was. And that's what the birth mom had called her herself, a holy terror, which was not Micah at all. I'd said before, she was such a good baby. So to hear that she was a holy terror, I was like, I was shocked. And then to hear that people prayed that she would be that, that's amazing. And that was all God. So later on that day, our attorney calls us when he knew that it was a for sure thing, and said, okay, go get her. So then Ryan tells me that we are going to go pick up Micah, that Kendra changed her mind again. And we drove to the house, and our attorney had said, you don't have to say anything. Just the adoption specialist is going to be there with her when we go to pick her up, because we went straight to the birth mom's house. No, he said, you don't have to say anything. Just go in and get her and leave. So we knocked on the door, and the birth mom answered, and I went into her room, the birth mom's room, and Micah was just laying there in a onesie on the bed. She was crying, and I picked her up, and I walked back down the hallway, and I walked past Kendra, or the birth mom. I walked past the birth mom and the adoption specialist, and I said, thank you, and I walked out. And we put her in the car, and we drove home. I think we were all still in shock, though, because everything happened so quick. I mean, it had been literally about 24 hours. I mean, I think it was like down to the hour, 24 hours that we had got the call, and we had drove her, and we had surrendered her, and now she was back in our arms. Anyway, so the 30 days came, and they passed, and we were so thrilled. We were so thrilled. And so at this point, it's now almost April, and Micah's gaining weight, and she's healthy. She's just healthy as can be, and such a good, mellow baby, and we're enjoying every day with her. And we get our court date for September 11th, 2006. And you just go, and it's like a 5-minute little ceremony where, the judge says, their thingy, and you repeat, I do or I will, and that's the day they officially become yours. And in the adoption world, it's called a gotcha day, G-O-T-C-H-A, a gotcha day. And today is Micah's gotcha day. We feel so blessed that God chose us to be her mommy and her daddy. She is an amazing, amazing little girl. I feel so blessed that God called me to be her mother, and that she was the child that God had for us. I'm thankful that pregnancy didn't happen that first 7 years. But God knew that Micah all along was going to be ours, and how perfect she would fit into our family, how perfect she would fit into my life. We're just alike. It's unreal. And God just knew how much I would need her. And so we just celebrate Micah today and her life and the little girl that she is. So today we celebrate adoption, and we celebrate our beautiful daughter, Micah. We love you.